As per usual, we welcome Dave Hain to studio. Good morning, Dave. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
No complaints. Feeling well.
There we go. The trains were on time this morning.
Yes, they were.
So thank you to Metro Joy.
Yes.
Okay, now Dave is an internationally certified addictions counselor, and he works in all areas of addiction, and he's an expert on this topic and on the lifestyle and the challenges that comes along for everybody involved, because when an addict is in your life, it's not the addict, not only the addict who suffers, but also people around them. And we're aiming to just empower you as the family member, the loved one, the best friend, whoever you are. If you have an addict in your life and you are really concerned and you want the person to change, here we are equipping you with the little time that we have just to cope. Okay, today, Dave, we're talking about and we're asking the question, what if I can never forgive the addict or ever trust him again? How do I learn to forgive and trust?
Yeah, and it's a tough question, because typically what I hear from families are things like, I may be able to forgive, but I'll never forget. I'll never trust them again. They've betrayed me. They've broken my trust forever, and I don't want to risk another broken heart, or I'd be a fool to ever trust them again. And so they really come from a standpoint of, until I see the addict's behavior change for some lengthy amount of time, 6 months, a year, 2 years, and it's because there were so many broken promises before that where the addict has said, look, I'm going to stop, or they've gone off to rehab and they've come back clean and sober, and they've stayed that way for a few months. So it's almost a fear of trusting once again, and then linking that into, well, if I forgive, I'm condoning their behavior, right, so I better withhold my forgiveness.
Okay, I can understand the forgiveness. It's very important. The trust is also very important, but from a family member's perspective, is there, and I don't know if this is textbook or what it is, and I'm coming from a point of ignorance here, so correct me when I'm wrong, is there a time frame that you can put on, monitoring someone in order to gain that, for them to gain your trust again?
For me, I don't put a time frame on it. For me, when I talk to people, what I counsel them is, when you begin to see Jesus in the person that you used to see Satan, then we're at a place of trusting again. And so forgiveness can be just that, forgiveness, but you can withhold full trust until you begin to see the character change in that person. And so I think that, for us, the challenge is can we come at forgiveness the way God comes at us? Psalm 86 says that, God, it's his character that he's ready to forgive. He's ready and waiting. He's eager to forgive. Isaiah 38:17 says that he rescues us from the pit with his love. He loves us back from the pit and then hides our sin behind his back. So can we get that sort of mindset where we have a position of pre-forgiveness? We know the addict has broken promises 1,000 times. We know they're going to break them 1,000 more, but can we be the loving father, the loving mother, the loving sibling, and say, look, I'm changing my expectations so that I can be in a position of forgiveness, because I know you're going through a war. I know you're going through a battle, and many days it looks like you're not trying, but I understand that this is a battle and you're fighting, against the devil who wants to take you out.
Is that not condoning the behavior?
No, for me, not at all. Forgiveness is something we do as parents all the time with children who make mistakes. Forgiveness is what we live in as children of the living God.
But some of the mistakes are not really mistakes. It's actually intentional.
Sure.
And that increases the level of distrust, the level of unforgiveness. I mean, surely, Dave, you cannot expect family members, when they've gone through literally hell, that they would term it as, to put the sins behind the back and, almost be guarding the situation and say, listen, I'm overlooking this one, because you'll be sending out the wrong message.
Yeah, and it's not overlooking. There are consequences of your sin. There are consequences of your behavior. these consequences will happen.
Right.
However, from the Bible, I'm called not to rub it in your face.
Okay.
I'm called not to keep a record of your wrongs and keep bringing them back and bringing them back as if I'm waiting for you to fail again.
But here's the problem and the challenge. An addict, and I want, if there are addicts listening this morning, I want you guys to know, okay, wherever you're at in your active addiction, that we love you guys very much, okay? And God loves you even more than we do. And God is there for you. So this is not a segment of the show to punch and kick the addict, okay, while they're down. It's not that. But in terms of the consequences, when addicts can use that to manipulate people into almost loosening the reins so that they can get in and create an opportunity to get in. Because when you're going through consequences, an addict can very well turn around and say, look, you don't want to allow me in there, so you're holding it against me, you're rubbing it in my face. Meanwhile, they have to go through the consequences. Well,
Yeah.
What do we say to families at that point?
I think the key is understanding that forgiveness is saying, you are still my son, you are still my daughter, whatever that is. And in no way is saying I condone the actions you've taken, nor do I support or encourage or in any way try to make it easier for you to continue in this behavior pattern. So forgiveness is just that. It is, I forgive you. My love is still there. My love is unconditional. That does not mean that you can still live in this house. That does not mean here's my car keys. That does not mean here's my credit card or, 500 Rand or even 20 Rand. It does mean you are still my son and I hurt with you, but I can't be the one who's helping dig your grave.
Okay. Want to ask you to send in your SMSs right now, 083-788-9494. I have a couple of SMSs here already. The phone lines are open. If you want to come on air and chat with Dave, 021-788-9494, 021-788-9494. That is the studio line number. Please feel to give us a call. Dave, an SMS in saying my sister is having hell, and we're going to come back to what we're talking about. I just want to get through the SMSs because we kind of run out of time every week. My sister's having hell with the son. She doesn't have help from anyone, and she doesn't know what to do. She wants him to go away for a long time to come right. Is sending the person away for a long time going to help them come right, Dave?
Well, it can and it can't. So there's no foolproof formula here. And if you're sending them away against their will, there's no place I know that other than prison that will keep them locked up.
Right.
So wherever you send them, they are free to go whenever they choose. I think, any way to encourage the addict to want help, to seek help, is good. There may be times when the addict just is very obstinate and very stuck in their ways and saying, look, I don't have a problem. I don't care. I'm not changing. I've got no desire to change. Maybe 20 years from now when I have gray hair, I'll think about changing. In those cases, then maybe sending them out rather than sending them away is a better choice so that they get to a point where they at least have an inkling or a thought that maybe change sometime would be a good idea.
But not now.
But not now. Yeah.
Someone posed a very interesting question because we were talking about the feature on the show over the weekend, and the person said to me, why is it that parents are in denial when you can even go up to someone and tell a parent, a mom, a dad, I've seen your son hanging with this crowd, and this crowd, they're doing drugs. And, the son can come in or the daughter can come in stoned out of their mind, and the parent can see there's something wrong. But they remain in denial. They say, no, my child cannot do that. Is it a fear that all the dreams and aspirations they had for the child, that they would be so disappointed to a point where they'll just be absolutely destroyed emotionally?
It's a combination of factors. That hurt from the dreams that you had for your child, the plans for them to have a better life than you. And most parents at least have that minimal hope for their children that they'll have a better life than you had, that they'll have less hardship, that they'll be more comfortable in their living space, that they'll have a better career, a variety of things around that. And watching the child squander that, chasing after drugs, chasing after gangs, whatever it might be, is very hurtful for the parent. And then in the midst of that, the child who's the addict is blaming the parent for their addiction.
Right.
So there's this battle going on inside the parent going, gee, if only I loved them more, maybe they wouldn't have done this. If only I had kept better track of them. If only I had supported them more in sports. And so the parents start second-guessing little things that they might have done wrong as if they're the cause of their child's addiction. So when you heap those things together, parents will stay in denial a long time. And, I don't want to be too graphic here, but I was working back when we lived in Philadelphia, and there was a man in denial that his daughter was in addiction. And this was an 18-year-old girl who had run away from the suburbs and was living with a pimp in a house in Philadelphia. And so finally one day I said, look, this is where your daughter walks. This is the street that she walks when she's out prostituting.
Right.
If you don't believe what I'm saying, drive down this road at such and such a time and you'll see for yourself. And it took that to where he actually saw his daughter walking the street to earn money, that it finally broke inside.
Okay. Is there anything that can be done to minimize the shock and disappointment and hurt and anger if a parent has to be taken to that point? And I know there are parents listening today who probably they've heard that their loved one is hanging out with certain people, and those people are known for doing things, but they're still in denial. Is there any way you can shield them from the level of hurt, pain, anger, disappointment when they are actually taken there and they see this for themselves?
Well, I think the key would be to get the parents involved in family support groups early on so they can hear other people's stories. And even though they say, well, that's not me,
right,
if they've heard it before, they've seen the pain, they've seen the hurt in other mothers and fathers, in other spouses, it begins to settle into them, this may be coming. So even though they may still be in denial publicly, it's still working in their heart, it's still working in their mind that this might be my future too unless something changes. So that in itself can cushion the shock when it happens. And typically, it's going to come as some traumatic event,
right,
either a shooting, a hospitalization, an overdose, an incarceration, an arrest. Some traumatic event is going to come because that's the nature of addiction.
Okay, we are chatting to David Hain. He's an internationally certified addictions counselor. And today we're asking the question, what if I can never forgive the addict or ever trust them again? And we're focusing on the families of people who are trapped in addiction, just helping you to cope and answering the questions that you may have about your situation. So are you struggling to forgive? Are you struggling to trust your partner, your son, your daughter, your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend? Please feel free to come through on the phone lines on 021 788 9494, 021 788 9494. The phone line is open. 083 788 9494. 083 788 9494. That is the SMS line. If you have any questions, any comments, any views you would like to share with us here on air, feel free to do so. It's just gone 26 minutes after 10 o'clock. Payday is always great, especially when you have had more month than money. But how is it possible that some people still have money at the end of the month? Budgeting. Yes, that's it, but we need to be taught the skill. If you want to grow and learn, then come to the CCFM Ramoth Budgeting Workshop on Saturday the 22nd of February in the CCFM Hall. The course runs from 10 a.m. till 12 noon and costs just 50 Rand per person. Refreshments will be served. To book for this excellent workshop, call Kezi on 021 788 9492. That's 021 788 9492. You can go to ccfm.org.za, ccfm.org.za. We're going to the phone lines this morning. Good morning, CCFM.
Morning.
Morning.
I have an issue. I can't trust my husband.
Okay, ma'am, do you want to do me a favor? Do you want to just turn down your radio for me, please? I can hear you saying that you have an issue. You can't trust your husband. Are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Dave?
He cheated on me 18 years ago, and ever since I can't trust him, and it's to the extent we are fighting continuously, and I don't know how to forgive him.
Okay. I think, what you're saying is well put by God himself, where, he says, trying to pull up my Bible here, in Isaiah 43:25, God says, even I, am he who blots out and cancels your transgressions for my own sake, and I will remember your sins no more. So I think it would be important, and I'm not saying this is something that just you and your husband sit down to hold this discussion. I would involve a pastor or a counselor with you. But to be able to share with your husband the depth of the emotions and the specific emotions that are going on inside of you, so that, typically in these instances, it won't really make you feel better to hear your husband say, I'm sorry I had an affair, or I'm sorry I cheated, because everyone would say that. But what would really bring healing to you would be able to have your husband understand what emotions did that cheating cause in you. What dreams, what visions did you have that died that day, that broke that day, so that he can understand the depth of the pain that he has caused and be able to come to you in godly sorrow. And when you see that godly sorrow, then I think godly forgiveness will come out of you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, there we go. We'll keep you in prayer. Okay, we don't have a name. She wanted to remain anonymous. And, that is, for me, and it's phone calls like this, it just, it makes the depth of the hurt and betrayal that people go through when they are cheated on, and I suppose in a sense when someone who is involved is in active addiction, when they say to you, listen, I won't do it again, and they go out and they do it, and you actually find out, you feel like you've been cheated on, and it hurts as bad as this.
Yes. Yeah, the depth of the emotions are the key of what needs to be touched. And there was a call-in radio show guy in Philly named Bernie Meltzer, and when he did a show on forgiveness one time, one of the statements that he said that stuck with me was, forgiveness does not change the past, but it sure can change the future. So we need to realize that wound is in us, and God needs to heal that. God needs to reach into that pain. God needs to reach into that grief that's there as a result of actions in the past, to bring us to the point where we can say we forgive. And from there, we're moving forward whole and healed.
Right.
And so even if the person who's hurt us doesn't change their behavior, at least we're moving forward with God and leaning on his strength. Trying to just find strength within ourselves can be very futile.
I had a couple of issues with regards to me not wanting to forgive at one point in my life. And when I look back and I got to the point where I took a stand and I said, I am forgiving myself first.
Correct.
It's amazing. Everything changed in my life. My perspective, the way I related to people, everything changed. And I think that is the big thing about unforgiveness. That also keeps family members of people who are addicted trapped in that situation, because when you're struggling with the unforgiveness and the trust issues, and you can't work past that and allow God to take you past that, you don't see the way out. So you become almost codependent on the kind of drama and trauma that comes into your life at that point.
That's right. And I think it's so important to forgive ourselves first, because that allows us to also be able to lean on God. Too often we tell ourselves when we mess up that I'll never do that again. And we promise God in prayer, I'll never do that again.
Right.
But the reality is we're still human. This is still Earth, and we're probably going to fall again, or at least stumble a few times. I don't know anyone other than Jesus who's walked this earth sin-free.
Right.
And so I think when we get to the point of forgiving ourselves first, we even view expectations that we have for ourselves from a better standpoint, so that we take that pressure off the I'll never do that again. Because just that pressure can drive you crazy.
Can make you do it
Yeah,
again.
it can make you do it again. Sure, it creates a compulsive thing like a magnet,
Sure.
that's going to draw you back into the pit.
Okay, my guest, as per usual, on a Tuesday just after 10 o'clock here on the 9 to 12 show is internationally certified addictions counselor, David Hain. We're taking your SMSs, 083 788 9494, or you can give us a call in studio, 021 788 9494. Every time I want to give out the prayer line number, so maybe I should just do it now and get it out of my system.
Sure.
021 788 3340. 021 788 3340 if you would like to speak to a prayer friend at this time. Dave, an SMS in. I'm married for 20 years. My husband drawn to porn, even proceeded to call girls last year, fighting for our marriage. Trust broken.
Yeah, trust broken, betrayal, and uncertainty of the future. Uncertainty of, do I stick with this guy? Is he going to turn around? Is there going to be an unending stream of massage parlors and call girls and things like that? And simply because of that, and specifically because of that, when my wife and I work with couples, what we do is we'll meet with the couple for, say, an hour and a half and really work through the issues and work through understanding, God's role in this. And then I'll keep the guy behind and get him involved in a group of men who've gone through similar issues and similar addictions. And then my wife will go off and take the woman out for coffee or what have you, so that they can really dig in deeper to the women's issues. Yeah. It's so important when that hurt is there that the wife understands that she needs healing too.
Okay. We're going to the phone lines again, 021 788 9494. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. May I speak to Dave, please?
You're live on air. What is your name, please?
Thank you. My name is Maureen.
Yes,
Hi, Maureen. How are you?
Well, thank you, man. I've lost a daughter about 3 years ago, 29 years old. And I knew she was untick. But, for me, it's like I didn't do enough, to see what she was doing, where she was living. Yes, she was married at the time, with a son. But, today I feel like I didn't do enough for my daughter. Irrespective, I didn't even, knew the places that she was going to. The husband is also an addict. But for me as a mother, yes, I asked God for that forgiveness and that. And I tell you, the time when she laid in hospital, where I spoke to her, my words to her was, you're going to make it, you're going to live, you're not going to leave me. And it's still playing over and over in my mind, where she couldn't respond because she was unconscious, and but there was tears coming from her eyes. And up till today, I cannot understand why she was crying. And I live with that each day.
Yeah, I hear your pain, and I just want to encourage you. What you're called to do as a mom is to love your daughter.
Yeah.
And if you continue to love your daughter through her addiction, you did enough.
Yeah.
The story of the prodigal son from the Bible does not show the father going into the area where the son ran off to.
Yeah.
Doesn't show the father, in the bars, in the brothels, in the pigsty.
Yes.
It shows the father continuing to love.
Yeah.
And when the son came to the end of himself and began the walk home,
Yes.
that's when the father ran to meet him. So, Scripture doesn't call us to get in there and be the rescuer.
Yeah.
That's God's role. And, so we just need to continue to love and know that through it all, our son or our daughter knew that they were loved.
Yes. Thank you so much. Be
You're
blessed.
welcome.
Thanks.
Thank
Thank you,
God
Maureen.
bless.
God bless you. Thank you for the
Bye-bye.
call. 021 788 9494 if you want to chat with Dave. And just going back to the SMSs. Hi, Jeremy. I'm a single mom. My son, aged 33, who had relapsed 3 times and still using, been to rehab the first time. How do I forgive and trust?
Yeah. For me, I think the key would be to not have bigger expectations than are normal. To realize that addiction is a war. It's made up of many, many battles. And, from my experience, 1 out of 1,000 people caught in addiction will get the lightning bolt miracle where they're set free, and we could have those callers call in. They do, often, and say, I just stopped one day and God gave me the strength. For the other 999, it's a process, and that process continues on as ongoing battles where we win this day, we lose tomorrow, but we're continuing to move forward. And I think that's the key, is to understand that person in addiction is in a war, and our job is to walk alongside of them to the best of our ability.
There you go. Good morning, CCFM.
Hi, good morning. My name is Linda.
Welcome, Linda.
Hi. I've got something to ask Dave.
Yes.
Yes, Linda.
I'm going through a very trying time. I've got my son, his girlfriend, and his 6-month-old baby with me. And both of them are on drugs. And, listening to the message of the prodigal son, yes, we shouldn't be walking into their situation, but, it seems like they both owned up that they want help. But like with the resources that they have, so the rehab centers and places charge a humongous amount of money. And both of them is unemployed. I am not working. My husband is the only person working. So we have to support them, with food stuff and where the baby's concerned and whatever. So financially we can't afford to get them into a rehab. What can we actually do to get them the help that they need?
Well, I think initially get them to seek to get into help as far as an outpatient status is concerned. There's a variety of places they can begin to start going for outpatient counseling. And one of the things that I always say, rehabs are cheaper than the drugs on a daily basis. And so, your son and daughter-in-law, even though they are not working, they're coming up with some way of purchasing or trading for their drugs every day. And, addicts, if they would keep track of how much they spend on drugs, could be millionaires if that money was invested. So, I think the key is to get them to begin to look at change and what can they do to start looking at change. And then begin to contact the Christian rehabs that are in the area and see what it does cost and how can connections be made to start in a program that is not as expensive.
Okay, because they've even suggested to me that if they can get apparently this tablet, the Botkin, I don't know if you know the tablet, it's about 100 rand tablet. If they can get through that process of taking that for 7 days, they can come clean, because that tablet apparently helps them to get clean. But they don't, you know how many things of mine have disappeared in my home already because they make a way of getting the stuff, because they are and they are on heroin, not on sick.
Yeah, but Linda, if I can come in, and this is my layman's opinion, and it's things that I've seen. If the addict at that point is not prepared to come clean and even go cold turkey, if they want another fix to get rid of the fix, then maybe they're not ready yet. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
I'm not trying to cast a hopeless situation for you, but you need to be realistic, and they need to get to the point where they say, even if I go through the worst pains and nightmares, I need to know, and this is the thing, addicts coming off a high need to know that it's not going to last forever.
We managed to get his girlfriend into a rehab.
Right.
She went in the Tuesday, and the Thursday she walked out. Because she said they weren't giving her the help that she wanted, and they weren't giving her the proper medication. I don't know, I wasn't there.
Okay, and this is the point I'm making, that if they are not prepared to do absolutely anything, okay, then they're not at the point where they really want help. That's the harsh reality.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys with the girlfriend to keep in mind, addicts always think they know what's best for them. So here's a girl who was a heroin addict who said the people who for a living are running the rehab and the detox, so they're trained professionals who know what she needs, didn't give her the help she needed because she knew better than them.
Of course.
And, you know, that's typical of addiction. They always know better than their parents, better than the experts, better than the doctors, better than, you know, the sisters. And so, you know, I think the key in someone going for help is going in humility. You know, if they're using heroin, they will have nausea.
Yeah.
They will have diarrhea. They will have cramping. It will last for 3 to 5 days. That comes with the drug.
Okay.
And so they're going to have to go through that. And if they just want a pill to take all that stuff away, it doesn't exist.
Okay, Linda,
Okay.
thank you so much. I have to go to another caller. We will keep you in prayer, okay?
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye. Good morning, CCFM.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Dave.
Good morning.
I am one of the mothers who phoned in last week, and Dave gave me advice on my son drug addiction. But I just want to thank him. The problem that I had, I can deal with it now on another way. I'm also a Christian, and last week I've got an argument with the two of my sons, and as I said, I use his advice, and I tell him that I also lost my son, who's addicted, and I had to forgive him. As
Okay.
but thank you very much
Okay,
for the great work.
Thank you. So welcome.
Thank you so much. Okay, I just want to go to some of the SMSs, but here is something that I should have done a bit earlier, but we're going to do it right now. Dave has written 2 books, and these are the titles, From Addict to Disciple, The First 12 Steps and Walking the Path That Follows. And then the other is titled The Heart of an Addict, and it's by David Hain. And we're going to be giving away to one person. Can they go separately, Dave?
Whatever you'd like to do. You're in
Okay.
charge.
Okay. So we're giving away The Heart of an Addict to one person, and From Addict to Disciple to another person. And this is all you need to do. You just need to send your name and your surname, and you can SMS it to this number, 083 788 9494. 083 788 9494. Now we'll randomly choose 2 people, and we will randomly send you a title as well. Okay, so if you want that, From Addict to Disciple, The First 12 Steps and Walking the Path That Follows, and the other title by David is The Heart of an Addict, you can SMS through right now. Okay, we're also taking more of your calls for the next 5 minutes. 021 788 9494, 021 788 9494. Can you please pray for my daughter and with 2 kids? They're addicted to tick, and they're sleeping on the street with a baby, only 3 months old now. That, Dave, must be painful
Very much so.
to a mother and a father.
Yeah, and you know, in those situations, I say do not hesitate to get social workers involved. Do not hesitate if you need to get an interdict. You know, as a grandparent, this is your grandchild sleeping out there on the streets too, and that child is more susceptible to picking up diseases than adults. So, you know, definitely take a step.
Get the authorities involved.
Intervention, yeah.
There we go. Let's go to another caller. Good morning.
Good morning, JB. Speaking to Anthony.
Hello, Anthony.
Very good work. God bless you for what you're doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
I just want to share my story. I'm an ex-drug addict. I just want to say 2 things. Firstly, there's a difference between being free and being delivered. Being delivered is having power over the thing that had you for many years. And the second thing I wanted to say was that God, when I got to the place in my life when I wanted to change, at the age of 33, I wanted to commit suicide because of being addicted to drugs from the age of 13, because I was an adult, I was an abandoned child, I grew up in an orphanage, had a lot of pain and a lot of hurt, and because of that I started using drugs, and I just went through the bad part of life. And then I got to the place in my life where in my life. And then I went to God because I didn't have a rehab, I didn't have money, I didn't have anywhere to go. I was on the street, I was on the verge of losing my life and wanting to kill myself. And that was the first place I've ever been there. The first time in my life I ever got there. And when I got there, God took me step for step because I was so desperate that he took me step for step. And I never went to a rehab, I went to a rehab, but after, this happened after I was in a rehab and I fell and I relapsed and I got to that place where I knew nothing else would help me and I found God. And when I found God there, then God, he took me and that Thursday night when I knew I'm getting paid and I was worried and I didn't know what to do and I thought, I'm going to fall again, I'm going to go smoke rocks. And I said, Lord, please, I need your help. And God started intervening there and he changed me, kept me busy and he took me step for step. And he took me out of that path. And what I wanted to say was that God, he doesn't come to you and he changes your circumstances. He comes and he sits in your circumstances and if you are prepared to change, he walks you out of that hole. And that's what he did with me.
Awesome.
And I'm now 7 years down the line. You can smoke in front of me, it doesn't bother me a cent. I've stopped smoking cigarettes. I've stopped drinking. You can drink in front of me, it doesn't bother me. I'm delivered from it. I'm not sick free.
Amen.
It's an awesome testimony. Thank you so much. And I'm sure many people needed to hear that this morning. Thank you, dude.
God bless you.
God bless you, man.
God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There we go. It's 12 minutes to 11 o'clock, and I don't know why this always happens as soon as we start wrapping up with Dave, and then the phone calls start coming through. But Dave, before we go, there are so many SMSs coming through for the books, and there are also SMSs coming through for you just to briefly speak about my husband cheated, but he keeps denying it and puts me on a guilt trip for believing he would do that. I forgave him, yet I did not ask for it. Am I enabling him?
I don't think you're enabling by forgiving him. I think one of the keys, though, is the two of you somehow need to get to where you both have the same story as to what happened.
Right.
As long as you have two different stories, two different versions, two opposite versions, there's going to be controversy, there's going to be friction, there's going to be fighting in the marriage. So I think it'd be really key as a couple to seek counseling so that you can get to the same page and the same understanding of what happened.
Okay. I just want to go to our last caller for this segment. Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Ma'am.
Sister Peterson from Portland.
Hello, sister.
I had a son for 10 years on drugs. Nothing did help. I sent him to rehab. Ek het betaal vir die pille en alles. Maar my kind is ook gered, is al die 3 jaar. Ek het hom ingesit in 'n rehab waar hulle nie detox tablets kan inneem en die hande van die Here het op hom gegaan. Hy is gered, is in Joburg. Hy het 'n goeie job gekry en hy is al 3 jaar skoon. So ek wil maar vir almal aanmoedig wat toch altyd hierdie pyn gaan, ek weet dit is baie swaar. Hulle moet maar net sterk wees en glo en vertrou op die Here. Want ek het 'n life groep hier by my.
Okay.
Ek help die drug addict en het is wonderlik hoe hulle kom en hoe hulle gehelp word deur die theaters.
Okay. Sister, baie dankie. En ons is bly om die storie te hoor, okay?
Ja, dankie.
Okay. Die Here seën hoor.
Bye.
Sister Peterson says, Dave, that her son has been saved now for 3 years. He was addicted for a very long time, but God came in, and she's encouraging people just to love their kids. It does come right.
Amen.
It does come right.
Amen. That is our role.
Okay, now people are saying, and this is the last SMS, guys, it's not easy to get an interdict against your child. We are made to be the addict, and the addict is right. Now, people are going for help, it seems, to the authorities when it comes to addiction because they're so desperate. But is that the way to go, Dave?
I think it is the way to go, and to be insistent. On behalf of the police, I'll say, the frustrating thing for the police is that families come and get an interdict and then remove it.
Right.
And it's back and forth. So the police do all this paperwork, get everything in place, and then the family goes, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't really mean to do that, And so I think once you've decided to get an interdict, you need to follow through. Once you've decided to take someone to court, you need to follow through. You can't use it as a scare tactic that you're going to remove, because the more families that do that, the less cooperative the police are going to be, because it's a lot of paperwork for them.
Okay. Dave, give us your contact details, please.
Sure. You can reach me on my landline, 782-1117. My mobile is 073-065-0999, and I am on WhatsApp. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter and at David from A to D.
Okay, at David from A to D.
And my email is david.hain@gmail.com.
Okay. Easier, though, is to give him a call, 073-065-0999. He's also on WhatsApp, or 021-782-1117. Is there someone manning the phone on the landline, Dave?
You'll probably get one of my sons.
One of the Hains. One of the Hains will be there.
Yeah, someone with an American accent.
There we go. Don't put on the phone. You're at the right number. David, thank you so much. We really appreciate you coming in, and we'll see you again next week when we'll be talking about how do I deal with the addict's verbal abuse, mood swings, anger, threats, and physical abuse. Listen, I have put up Dave's details as well as the from a2d.com website address on the CCFM 9 to 12 Facebook page. Dave's details, it's been posted there as well. 021-782-1117, 073-065-0999. Jackie at reception has the number as well. Dave, thank you. Just a quick word from you before we go of encouragement.
Sure.
30 seconds.
And again, it was my pleasure to be here. I just want to tell moms and dads out there, tell spouses out there, God rescues us out of the pit through love. And so don't give up hope. Don't stop loving. Just put your faith in God's ability to change our loved one rather than faith in our loved one's ability to change themselves.
There we go. Thank you. Wise words. David will be back next week. He's an internationally certified addictions counselor and a regular guest on my show every Tuesday just after 10 past 10. Victoria will be up next with the news.